Really amazing program for the next 2 hours. First, the CIO panel, where we're looking into what is happening right now with unbelievably strong people. And then we go a little bit deeper into digital product development, AI structures, and finish off with an amazing live panel. So, having that said, I need to run to the other stage, unfortunately, but I know that we are in very good hands. And Nada will moderate through these sessions. So between the bridges, we have everybody. Juan, stage is you.
Thank you. I'm going to use this. Okay. Thank you, Lars. Thank you very much. And please do that announcement. I think this one is better than the one that they are showing over there. So good morning. I think exciting times to be in insurance. Very pleased to be attending the MENA InsurTech Summit. Lars, thank you very much. Your team, you put a superb summit together. So I'm Juan Massini. I'm the insurance practice director at Celent, and I'm also the president and co-founder of the Miami InsurTech Advocates Hub. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a few minutes. So I will be wearing 2 hats today. The first one as the MIA Hub president and co-founder, and later on I'll move as a moderator to the panel with the hat of Celent. Is the clicker working? It's not. Anything I need to do? Thanks. So Latin America is a fragmented market, 33 countries if you account for the Caribbean as part of that region. It has a really low insurance penetration. It only accounts for around 2% of the market share of the global GWP, and that makes it, or those characteristics then come into play when you think about the InsurTech ecosystem. The key markets, you would say, in Latin America, because of size, are Brazil and Mexico. Not only they both account for the largest InsurTech and FinTech ecosystems, which is a natural connection. If you have a large market, you would expect more competition, right? Brazil has a GWP estimated for this year of around $134 billion. Mexico, which is the second largest, will be accounting for $29 billion. So you can see the huge difference. In that diversity, language is one of them. Only if you account for continental Latin America, you have Brazil with Portuguese speaking, the rest is Spanish speaking, except one of the Guyanas, which is, that's not the Guyana, Suriname, which is English. But then you account for the Caribbean, and then you have Dutch, French, English, Spanish, if you consider Puerto Rico. Notably, Brazil, or not so notably because of the size, but not only has the most sophisticated clearing banking system. Yeah, back in the 80s, they could do real-time clearing of funds from one bank to the other. In the US, we can't do that today. And they did it because of inflation. If you have to wait 72 hours to get your funds cleared to the other bank, the money is worth nothing. But not only that, they are also leading financial innovation. They were the first of many in the region to issue fintech-specific regulation, open banking being one of them. But they are the first country to issue specific InsurTech regulation for open insurance. The world looks at Brazil when trying to understand how to put together that type of regulation. And the regulatory sandbox has seen several cohorts of new insurance players and business models up to date. And Brazil is also home of the largest neobank outside of Asia, which is Nubank. And Nubank has a very successful partnership of digital bank assurance. Being a neobank, you don't have branches. So the traditional selling insurance through the branches doesn't work. So they have a very successful partnership with Nubank in life insurance, which typically is a product that is considered to be sold, not purchased. I'm not going to stay too much with this, but Google, Nubank, Chubb, there's a lot of information in the internet. The main characteristic of the InsurTech market in Latin America is that it's collaborative, but also that it focuses in making insurance inclusive and accessible. This starts with collaboration and transformation in the distribution through aggregation, through digital bank assurance, and embedded insurance as well. But it goes also through product innovation. Think about parametric insurance, think about microinsurance, on-demand insurance, specialty insurance for new emerging risks, insurance as a service. So a lot of coverages that are not considered insurance, at least not there, but could be, and behavioral programs in many lines of businesses. And also collaborative in terms of startups working with established insurance companies to achieve operational excellence in different parts of the value chain, these underwriting, claims, reinsurance. And the other characteristic is, unfortunately, is the lack or the difficulty of these of startups getting VC funding. So the consequence of that is that the ecosystem is more resilient than many other ecosystems around the world because they need to be bootstrapped. And that means you need to have a business model that works. So there's no paperware. You're not trying to seduce a VC to give you money. The model needs to work. Relevant players in Latin America, in Brazil, Pizzi offering device insurance, 88i, insurance for gig economy. In Mexico, a good health tech ecosystem, with We Company being a health tech a TPA and platform provider, VivaWell offering digital wellness. And then some regional players, 123 Seguro, which is not only a digital broker for motor, life, and home insurance, but they are also a platform for digital distribution for Prudential. Okay, so they are a distributor, but at the same time, they are enabling this digital distribution for the established. And same with Klimber, a distribution platform, also a regional player, in partnership with MetLife for distribution, and with Mercado Pago, which is the digital wallet of Mercado Libre. Think about Alibaba, Amazon. Mercado Libre is the Amazon of Latin America, is the largest e-commerce platform over there. But we're also seeing innovation and being part of this ecosystem, some traditional players. And there are many, but doing very nice things. But two that I think stand out are Chubb, with their digital-first approach, particularly for distribution partnerships, and with the same idea, CNP in Argentina, with a massive deployment of agentic AI to support their distribution partnerships. I will be releasing a piece of research with my other hat of Celent about them in the next month. Now, when we think about InsurTech, we typically think about these companies that that they sell insurance. You can see the relationship. Well, for us at the MIA Hub, InsurTech is a little bit more comprehensive. InsurTech to us is very hard to define. So let me give you an example. So this is Synecta, a company in Mexico that they monitor the agriculture land through the use of images. Now, pretty sure you will think, okay, that's agri-tech. Now, what Synecta does with that information is they transform an agricultural risk into a financial risk with a score. And that score allows banks to better underwrite loans and reduce fraud, and also insurance companies to underwrite insurance for the agriculture. So, one second. Okay. So for us, they are part of the InsurTech ecosystem because they are serving the purpose of helping insurance companies. And if this was a fintech presentation, someone would say they would qualify also of being in the fintech ecosystem. So then in a collaborative model, in a collaborative ecosystem, the reality is that many tech companies, not just InsurTech, agri-tech, health tech, prop tech, rec tech, you put the name tech, could be of help or of interest to insurance industries. And this is why in the MIA Hub, we have a business platform covering over 470,000 tech companies from around the world to help our members easily connect with the right partners. So for us, the definition is comprehensive. And what we want to find are those tech companies that can collaborate to make insurance better. MIA Hub is a not-for-profit platform. My other hat, Selen, that's for profit. But we accept funds from everybody in both. And it's a not-for-profit platform for doing business. And we do that by connecting the global InsurTech ecosystems, bringing together corporates and InsurTech mainly, but it's comprehensive to other players, academia, media, event players, you name it. Anyone that has an interest in insurance can be part of this hub. We do this from our international hub in Miami, but we deliver the service across the globe through a network of members, more than 700 members, and a network that is counted in the thousands, and with presence in more than 40 countries, be this in the Americas, Europe, the MENA region, and Asia Pacific. And it's an open community, as I said. Anyone can join, anyone that has an interest. And what we'll do is whatever your interest is, we'll try to help you make business, find the right partner. Be this an insurance company looking for the next best startup, improving the accuracy of underwriting using AI, or a startup looking for investment or underwriting capital through brokers or insurance companies, or a VC trying to promote their portfolio companies, or even an InsurTech accelerator scouting for the next cohort of startups. We help them achieve a varied set of goals. So please, let's connect and see how you become part of this ecosystem, how you become part of how you become a MIA Hub member, whatever your goals might be. Thank you for your attention on this subject, which I think is fantastic. Some of our founding members are not just new players, but some of the very traditional ones, and not just personal lines, also commercial lines, is quite strong and valid. And those are the founding members. Those were the ones that had the vision to establish this as an international ecosystem. Well, thank you very much. And I'll move to the other hat so we can invite our panelists for the next section. Thank you very much. So I want to introduce myself again. But if someone just came in, I'm Juan Massini, Director of Sentence Insurance Practice. I want to welcome Adrian, Man, Shuha the Brave, and Bahe. Is that how you pronounce it? Bahe? Perfect, please. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that would be nice, right? Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen, to join us here. I think it's an interesting topic. The role of CIO is changing, and we're here to discuss how and the challenges and maybe what are the opportunities. In terms of digital demands, in Celent, we produced this year the MENA Dimensions report, which looks into investment priorities and pressures for CIOs in the region. Number one driver of IT investments is related to enabling digitally enabling the distribution channels. Second one is complying with regulation. Yeah, not surprised with that. And third, but not least, growth. And then there's a series of others, but those are the ones that are driving it. So let's start with just very brief introduction of each of you, name and company, if you may, starting with you, Adrian.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adrian Lebec. I'm the CEO for Europe and Middle East at a company called Pick3. And Pick3 is a global enterprise technology company specialized in insurance. We're a global firm. We're operating in 3 continents. And maybe one third fact about us as a core platform provider, since the company was founded 7 years ago, we have helped clients issue 2 billion insurance policies to date. So quite of a large scale already.
Morning, everyone. My name is Ma'an Reyes. I'm a partner at ITI Venture. We are a strategic management and advisory company specializing in senior C-level and board advisory across all disruptive technologies, so be it technology, InsurTech, AI, health tech, fintech, with a focus on the corridor between Asia Pacific and the GCC and presence in US and North America.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Shuja Nurani. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Anoot Technologies. We're a 5-year-old InsurTech company established by QIC. And our main reason to be is we've got a modern end-to-end integrated insurance platform that we've deployed at clients across 3 continents. So it's a modern insurance platform that we are marketing to our clients.
Hello, I'm Vahe Torosian. I'm the Deputy CEO and CRO of Builder AI. We are a company that is called a composable platform company that helps to leverage AI capability to accelerate custom application and custom software development. And we have a few experiences, in the context of the insurance industry, especially with QLM, where we've started a partnership, a couple of years ago. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for those introductions. So let's start with the first opening question. Where do we see the industry in terms of digital transformation? And maybe, Adrian, if you can provide us with a global view of this question.
Yes, absolutely. So if you think from a high level, and of course, down the panel, we will zoom in a bit. The need and the pressure for transforming has never been that pressing, has never been that important. And this is not region specific. I think if you look overall as an industry, the return hasn't always been the one that shareholders were expecting. You've mentioned a bit also on the analysis that Celent is doing. I think we see exactly the same picture, which means digital transformation is more than ever a boardroom level priority, because of the importance of shareholder return and because of the importance of optimizing the cost base. But it's also very much a people and I would say peer pressure topic. We will come at one point in time around AI, but not only this, right? If you think about the pressure you get from the consumer expectations, the pressure you get from the market, and I think events like this show it very much. I think the importance has never been that high when it comes to delivering successful digital transformation.
Shuka, how do you see this from a regional perspective?
So Anoot Technologies has a lot of clients in the region, but we also have clients outside the region in Latin America and in Africa. But from a regional perspective, I have a similar thought as Adrian. Unlike QIC, most insurance companies, as it relates to digital transformation, are very much lagging. They've got old legacy systems, sometimes even more than 20-year-old systems that are very inflexible, very manual, not automated. And these systems cannot meet the current expectations of customers and the marketplace. And they cannot meet shareholders' expectations in improving efficiencies and cost efficiencies, etc. So we, what we see is that there's a need to transform and move away from these legacy systems to really capture the benefits of AI and predictive analytics, and even from an immediate perspective to meet the latest regulatory requirements and challenges to integrate with partners. So very much from a digital transformation perspective, the MENA region, the Middle Eastern region is very, very early to this game.
You touched briefly this in your response, and this question is for you, Matt. Digital transformation at some point could be seen as a efficiency generator, and particularly when we are discussing AI. And I'm pretty sure everybody is tired about AI, so we'll try not to get too much in depth into that because there are so many other panels. But what's your view in terms of digital transformation as a efficiency play versus a competitive advantage?
That's a very good point, Juan. So we've passed the point of digital transformation being digitization for the sake of efficiency and for the sake of internal requirements. We're now at the point, maybe call it digital transformation 2.0. I'm going to skip saying AI because there's a lot before the AI. Digital transformation now needs to support what both Adrian and Shuja touched upon. So on Shuja's side, digital transformation is required to entirely overhaul the infrastructure for the sake of the business, for the sake of the boardroom, for the sake of the ROI, for the sake of the shareholder. What that means on the ground, if you like, functionally as a competitive advantage, because that's what the boardroom cares about and that's what the C-level cares about, is a race to customer centricity, a race to data-driven insight, data-driven analytics, and personalization of the products. So this is what it means practically.
Sorry. That's why. Thanks. Sorry.
No problem. So what the digital transformation is bringing now to people like Adrian and Shuja and the things that they mentioned is a competitive approach to the marketplace where we are serving the customer faster, better, with products that he actually wants, and delivering these products at a much faster clip.
Yeah, well, and consistent to the survey that we did, all our research comes from market input, which is enabling business and then growth. They're not talking efficiency and cost reduction were options as possible answers, and they were much lower. So that's consistent. Let me move for a minute to technology, and then I'm going to come back on approaches for digital transformation. So we can't avoid touching a little bit on AI, and we have I think a very good view from a startup angle. But let's try to leave the hype aside and be more pragmatic about it. Everybody understands the potential, but where is AI having its biggest impact in insurance, in your opinion? And I'll start with again, the name is Vai. Thank you. So hard.
Well, I think many of my peers here have said it right. I think there's one thing that you should almost avoid to think is the AI for the sake of AI or the technology for the sake of technology. Most of the transformation that we have gone through, whether they are led from the cloud computing or from AI, are always coming back to what's the business outcome that you are trying to achieve? What's the unique value proposition that you want to demonstrate? And it means it seems they're very basic, but the reality is that if you start to lose the center of what you are trying to achieve, you start to do technology for the sake of it, and you will be always frustrated and always be late. So the key thing is that what I can see is that what is true for insurance, maybe more than any other industries, is when you think about, let's say, what this type of transformation have been enabling to, they're always, let's say, touch either reaching out more customers or engaging better with your own employees or your existing customers to give them a better experience, or to improve your processes, or to improve your bottom line. Basically, there are always these. And most of the industry players, they pick one or two, but not all of them. What we realize is that in the insurance, let's say, industry, almost, let's say, when it comes to the value proposition, they pick all of them and they want to solve for all of them. And that's where, in fact, the combination of cloud computing and AI together, based on the data and analytics, gives you much better, let's say, insights in terms of predictive analytics and in terms of cross-selling and upselling, which is a unique situation in the insurance compared to many other industries.
Yeah, well, thanks. I don't know if Shuha or Adrian, if you want to add anything on top of that.
From Anut Technologies perspective, we have, I'll just touch on one area where we've applied AI very successfully is in the area of claims. So, in the area of motor claims and also in the area of medical insurance claims. So motor claims, as in many other types of claims, is a key pain point of customers. Sometimes, the whole processing of motor claims can take days, if not sometimes even longer. And it used to be a very slow and manual process. Now with AI, let me just give an example of claims registration. When you get the first notice of loss, the whole process, all the documents that are received, whether it's police reports or accounts by the insured about the accident or anything else. Previously, what was the manual process of registering it and filling the forms, and which was also subject to errors, is now become completely automated. What used to take maybe 30 minutes, an hour, has now become 30 seconds. It's become much more accurate. And the other parts of the claim cycle, motor insurance, now through visual, through photos, through videos, there can be an automated adjudication of claims and claims estimate. That's another area of AI. On the medical insurance side, claims adjudication historically has been, in the past few years, rule-based engines. Now with AI, you have the AI models going through all the history of similar claims and making even more accurate adjudications and detecting frauds through patterns or anomalies. So those claims is an area where AI has proved really beneficial and generated great outcomes already. Thank you.
Thank you, Shuja. I'm completely aligned with the value and the potential that you can deliver. To me, there's a few caveats that AI is not just a silver bullet, and it has to be accompanied and delivered through the expertise that you can bring. And I think on our side, a lot of our companies are there to support the insurance industry. And the human factor on the change is going to be absolutely material in who's going to be able to successfully deliver benefits on AI. And to me, this is definitely across the entirety of the value chain. So that's really an exciting time to be working in the change component.
I think we should have another panel on how it's going to brutally transform some of the things. But if you're interested in that discussion, we can have it aside, because it would be a nice debate as well. I suggest that you follow Big Three in LinkedIn. They have a view on how it's going to transform their industry. So let me go back to someone made a mention about cloud, and to me, cloud today, I mean, in most markets internationally, I'm gladly to report that cloud is no longer a should we use it or not. It's table stakes. However, what I see sometimes struggling is how to select the right cloud. What are the considerations that we need to have around that? And I think, Man, maybe here you can help us.
Sure. So that's a very good point you made, Juan. Cloud has become table stakes, and we're not going to talk about scalability and operational efficiency and data location relative to the global benefits of cloud. I think we're past that point, as you rightly put. One tack I'd like to talk about from a CIO perspective, given the panel, is the considerations relative to the GCC, right? And in the GCC, one word that was used yesterday, or using the trick of one word, I'm going to say the word is alignment in the GCC when it comes to cloud. And alignment is a very big thing. So you must align with the government relative. I see a lot of people nodding. So it's the number one consideration. in the GCC, if not the Middle East. You have to align with the regulator on data location, data residency, privacy, and cybersecurity. This is your number one priority as a CIO. You have to align with the cybersecurity initiatives. You have to align with the existing and future cloud providers. We all know who they are. So we know it's Oracle in Saudi Arabia. We know it's Azure in the UAE. We know Google has come and will establish in Qatar as well. And you also have to align with the digital transformation directives and imperatives at a very top-down level, especially in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. In addition, there has to be some sort of, I would say, it's not just a language alignment, but it's also a cultural alignment. And this means applying AI via NLP to localization, language adoption, and increasing customer, if you like, customer engagement via the local language. So these would be the CIO considerations on cloud in the region.
Yeah, and I've seen that there are some already large language models based on Arabic language, which I think it's quite a move forward.
Correct.
And I'm expecting to see more of that as well. Thanks for that. Now, as CIOs try to take advantage of these technologies, move their organizations forward, providing the digital transformation that the business need. The general question is, or would be, if you see different approaches towards achieving this, and if you see any differences, if by size of insurers or by the line of business they write. So I don't know, maybe if, Adrian or Shuhaib, you want to take that, and I think also this one is for you, Bahi, as well.
Okay, so at InsurTech, we have clients of different sizes. We have a Southern European insurer, quite small, which operates in a small market, premiums of less than $50 million. And then we have large insurance client in the Latin American region, which is operating across, multiple regulatory territories and with premiums exceeding hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe several $100 million. And the strategies that they apply for digital transformation are quite different. On one hand, the smaller one, which is operating in a single territory, is going for a big bang approach where it needs to move away for all its lines of business, for all its operations from the legacy system that's coming apart to the new system, so a big bang approach. While the larger company that operates across multiple territories has to sort of think about, that the different territories have different regulatory requirements, and they need to synergize and standardize their operations across the different territories. So what they do, the bigger companies, is have a phased digital transformation, different waves across the different territories. And in terms of lines of business, the consideration is, what is the area which is either the most immediate and pressing requirement or the one that will generate the most benefits from a transformation. So, in that respect, the insurance companies prioritize those areas to have them in the first phases and then gradually move to the other lines of business.
Yeah, well, interesting that one of the things we also see in terms of lines of business is that typically commercial lines is more about efficiencies. It's still a broker business, a lot of personal interaction. So there's a tendency to think that is less prone to digital transformation, but instead more retail personal lines you would see more. And there's something that interestingly sits kind of in the middle, because like SMB, right, small, medium businesses, you would say they're commercial, but I've seen very, very interesting developments treating it more as a personal lines type of digital transformation. So I don't know if you have any view on that.
Sure, absolutely. So you're right that there's a divide in terms of maturity across lines of business, and whether you talk retail or commercial or P&C and life. At Pick3, we actually cover the vast majority of the lines of business with a very specific approach, which is how do you build a data-driven operating model that, in our experience, usually start with more retailized proposition, but more recently, we've entered actually more on the SME which is a massive need from across organizations and territories that SMEs have a difficulty to access coverage which is suitable for them at a price that they can afford. And we've adopted an approach whereby our experience from a retailized around the product bundling and the innovation and the high frequency touch points in order to optimize the coverage for the customer also applies very much on the SME stream. And sorry, Juan, you can blame me later for that, but back to the AI topic and the transformation, I think there's an essential point about the culture in organization. And AI will not just come in one day and make you successful. And I really see a huge difference between clients and conversation we're having in the market. On the one that are digitally advanced in terms of their ability to bring in new business models, and the one that believe only talking about AI will be enough to reorganize their go-to-market, their operations. And I think this is really a big difference we see. Not so much about the size of the insurance or the lines of business, but more how advanced they are in their thinking about culture, change, and transformation.
So I got married like 24 years ago. If I don't have that math right, my wife will kill me. And I remember my mother-in-law telling me that change is produced either by fear or love. And interestingly, this year, I was at a fintech conference, and there was a speaker of those that are supposed to inspire you, and said, in business, that's also true. And so one of the observations and that we are seeing is that the first reaction to AI is of fear, right? Fear that we're going to lose our jobs, someone is going to substitute us. And so it's very difficult to promote change from fear. Now, when I see how people understand the benefit, they start loving it. Because now they see that something that took them 3 days, they can do it in 2 hours. And that's where they start to love it. And that's where I think change will come. So wrapping up, I would like so one of the things that I believe is important is that because all that is happening, and I remember when I started working in this industry, many IT departments would be part of finance and admin and didn't have even a seat on the board. And I think that we've seen that evolution. But I think we are also now seeing another evolution. So, Man, what's your view of working with CIOs in different industries of how it's evolving and to be an effective agent of change?
Well, we've seen a tremendous revolution, not an evolution of the CIO role across all industries. We've got well past the days of the CIO being the senior IT manager, if you like, of IT operations and reporting on uptime and availability. And then we've moved on to the CIO becoming the custodian of data. So now we are now in the age of understanding that digitization is important, digital transformation is important. The CIO becomes the custodian of the data, right? Now, the CIO, because of the data and because of the power of AI and machine learning, actually, much more than AI, the CIO has become the steward of the data. And because the board and the C-levels across the Cs, if you like, they want data to drive decisions, the steward of the data becomes extremely transformative in terms of the business, not in terms of the technology. So now the CIO is involved in predictive forecasting, in supply chain efficiencies, in personalized customer centricity products, in agility to market, in time to market for supply chain, in AI diagnostics, in health tech, in uptime, availability, and reduced risk that is actually measurable, if you like, something from JP Morgan to that effect. So because of data becoming the new oil, if you like, and the CIO becoming the steward of the data, the CIO has become front and center in terms of driving the business, which leads to next steps of the CIO role.
Yeah,
strategy.
Agree. Well, we've run out of time in a very, very interesting topic. I invite you to continue the conversation with the panelists, myself, if you want, after this session. I'll Thank you for your insightful contributions. I'll leave you with a few closing. Digital transformation is more about people than technology, which was said. I think we've made substantial progress in the industry. However, I think that we will really see a different insurance industry the day that a CEO of an insurance company was a former CIO of that company. And good luck all in digital transformation. If you have a need, many of these companies could help you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Lars. Thanks, the team. Thank all.
Thank you. Thank you, Juan.
Let's take a group picture and leave the stage for the next.
And now for our next presentation is by Alessandro Paoli, the co-founder and past president for Swiss InsurTech Hub, named Swiss InsurTech Association. What can we learn from Switzerland? Thank you, Alessandro, for joining us today. Is it working?
I guess so. Can you hear me, right? Fantastic. All right, perfect. So my name is Alessandro Paoli. I am Italian, but I'm coming from Switzerland. I've been there for 15 years. And again, also like, Juan, I have basically different hats. I'm working for Zurich Insurance Company. I'm responsible for sales and distribution of a company, Zurich Insurance Group. But today, I'm going to basically explain to you one of my side hustle, one of the things that I did on in parallel. So during COVID, by the way. So when I arrived in Switzerland, I noticed that there was not an InsurTech association. So I was browsing, the Global InsurTech Alliance. I was seeing all the other countries, New York, London, Germany, Miami, Latin America, and so on. And there was nothing in Switzerland. So I said, look, I need to create something, So it started everything with a network of people passionate about insurance, and digitalization. So by the way, I have 20 years of experience in the insurance world. I started in 2003 with Allianz. Then I moved to consulting. And then basically I went to the Zurich Group 15 years ago. So the idea was to create a network of experts, of people passionate about digitalization, And so I involved some people, some colleagues, some partners from insurance consulting, I remember BCG, I remember also the people from Zurich, a former CEO, and we created basically the nucleus of this association. And everything started. Do we have the presentation, by the way? Yes, I think I need to go next. Here we go. And the title of this topic today is that, can we learn something from Switzerland? So look, first of all, I need to really thank the team that invited me today. And also, it's a pleasure to come here, almost come every year. And what I've seen, there is nothing to learn from Switzerland, because what you have achieved here, it's amazing. We do also a summit, but I think what you have achieved here is really, really great. And so that's basically the idea behind that. That was my idea, to connect the technological companies, right? With what? With, first of all, incumbents. You need projects, you need funding, you need to be promoted. And at the moment, in our ecosystem, in our association, we have names like Zurich, of course, Swiss Re, Aon, Generali, Vaudoise. Vaudoise was one of the first incumbents to join us. The idea also to connect InsurTechs with, investors. You need funds, you need capitals and so on. So we have SICTIC, we have EOS Ventures Capital, and of course with different technological companies, and consulting companies. We have PwC, EY, we need this type of big names. So for example, Google is one of the most proud sponsor of us, and they host us every year for our summit. So if you come to Zurich, you will be basically at Google. And those are the startups, of course, the machine, the engine of the entire ecosystem. Those are companies that we have presented with roadshows that are basically with us. Currently, the active members are 160. And this focus is not only Switzerland, it can be everywhere. So the company can be, the legal entity can be based in every part of the world. But of course, you want to work, you want to be exposed to Swiss companies or European companies. What we do, we organize sometimes roadshows. We go also in close countries, for example, Italy, Germany, or Spain, and we present technological companies, startups, to the different incumbents. One of the examples, right, we went to London, we do this Swiss InsurTech Hub Roadshow. And also we did like, we have a big summit every year, one dedicated to digital health, one of my passion, because of course for a digital health company within Zurich. We do some roadshows in Italy as well, yeah? And again, we participate, we collaborate. And I remember with Lars, we were working together in Zurich and say, okay, it's great what you're doing there because we are doing something similar in Switzerland, and we started more or less at the same time. And of course, I want to be very specific. So I don't want to create like a big room with everybody that they don't know each other. So we created chapters, breakout rooms where everybody is speaking the same language. So for example, we have artificial intelligence, of course, embedded insurance, digital health, blockchain. We have a geographical chapter, a couple of them. We have the Swiss Romandie, French part, and then also we have the Italian one, which is not on this slide, but we also have one Italian sub-chapter, commercial insurance, female entrepreneurship, it was nice events, bank assurance as well, and cyber protection, I remember very well. So, and yes, also climate change. And I've been told to be very, very brief. So I honor my promise to Lars, because I also want to thank him for me to be on stage today. So if you want to know more about the association, if you want to present your company, if you want to create a partnership, if you want to do something together, just connect with me. You can find me on WhatsApp or on my LinkedIn profile. And yeah, I hope that we basically receive a lot of collaboration, or as always, and you will see me most probably here next year, because I participate every year, even if I'm on holiday, like next year. Thank you very much. All right. Fantastic. I've been very brief. I mean, Lars told me we need to speed up.
Yes, thank you, Alessandro.
You can tell him.
Yeah, can we have a photo, please?
Oh, yes, and yes. Maybe, look, the picture, let's do it with something nice behind it, not exactly like this. Maybe it's better. Just me?
Yes.
Just me. All right. I mean, one-man show. Super happy. Thank you. All right. I'm a little bit embarrassed.
It's okay. Thank you, Alessandro.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now for our next panel, the AI advantage, how AI is revolutionizing digital product development. I would like to invite to stage our panelists. First, Manny here, Director and Head of Data Science from WTW. And Shadi, no, this is right. Okay, Shadi El Tuhfa, co-founder and CEO of Amenly, and Mr. Alibek Tanaliv, SVP Business Development from Qatar Insurance Group. The moderator today joining us from Hong Kong, Mr. Neil Tan, Chairman of Artificial Intelligence Association from Hong Kong. Please come to the stage. Are the names correct? No, yes. Yes, correct. So who's missing?
I'm also missing.
Yeah.
Where's Al?
Give me a shout. You can sit in front of your picture.
No, I want to go. Sure. We're missing Al. Yeah, he was here. Hello? All right.
I think we're waiting for Mr. Alibek. Yes, he's here.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. I know that. Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's fine.
Thanks. I know that we're between you and lunch, so we've got about 30 minutes here, and we're gonna come through with quite a bit of insights. Got a fantastic bench here in terms of the panel. Just a little bit of background on myself, so I'll do a quick introduction about myself. My name's Neil Tan. I'm actually managing partner for Tsunami Advisors. We're an advisory and consulting firm for AI, fintech, and Web3 companies based out of Hong Kong. So if there's any companies that are interested to explore Asia, feel free to get in touch. Separately, I am also the chairman of the Artificial Intelligence Association of Hong Kong. We are a technology association focused on corporates and institutions. Essentially, we're driving commercialization and use cases inside of the ecosystem. We have 28 different advisory board members coming from Hong Kong top 100 companies, all C-suite executives, and all driving the AI agenda within their specific companies. On the financial services side, we have JP Morgan, DBS, Stan Chart, insurance. We also have Prudential and also AXA as board members. And we've got a number of other industries represented inside of the board, and about 15 different committees, of which 5 are inside of financial services. So if you're interested to explore Asia, either through the association or through Tsunami, please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. So kicking off on this, we are going to go through a round of introductions. So I think you see that everybody's name, title, company on the board here, but what's more important is what is AI inside of each of these organizations, because each one of them is quite different, right? So we'll kick it off with a brief introduction, and that's part of the part that they will also include in that introduction. So we'll start off over here with Manny.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having me here as well. So yeah, I work for WTW as the head of data science, and you probably know WTW as the broker. That's probably where you've heard of them most. But actually, the part of the team that I'm in is a consulting team that works with insurance companies, and we work with their pricing teams, underwriting teams, claims teams. And like I said, I head up data science team. So we work on data science, advanced algorithms, AI, of course. Everyone works on AI, as I've learned today. So lots of work with AI as well with insurance companies. So we work with actuaries, data scientists, those kinds of people. And we've been doing that for a long time. So obviously, as AI has come in, we've had to think about how we update our technology. So we sell technology to insurance providers, and also our consulting proposition. So the things that we do, how do we improve them using AI? So that's the role it kind of plays in my role on a day-to-day basis.
Cool. Shadi?
Yeah, we are digital broker in Egypt. So we have we're focusing on distribution basically. So everything from demand generation up until issuance of policies, after sales service, and renewal as well. So what we're doing with AI right now is that we're more focused right now on internal efficiencies, and now that was 2024 for us. So we've done a lot of things to automate internal processes and so on, because this is a big part of what we're doing is before AI is actually optimizing on those processes and so on. And now we're trying to get into, a lot of customer facing things on the sales side, on after sales side, and operations as well, on the issuance side and so on. So this is where we use AI in the organization.
Awesome. Alibek?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alibek. I'm from QIC, SVP Business Development. I'm actually wearing a couple of hats in the organization, and one of them is consumer business in the region. I would call it kind of try to sustain the existing operations with sustaining innovations. But at the same time, I'm heading a digital hub, which is the unit that we built from scratch 3 years ago. And that unit is specifically looking after the disruptive innovation part of our organization, bringing new ideas, new technologies, including AI, which we will talk about today. So looking forward for the good conversation today about to exchange perspective on how different organizations adopting AI technologies, because I believe we have quite a nice set in terms of diversity, different organizations, different perspectives. So looking forward to have a great conversation today.
Good stuff. Gabriel.
Hi, so I'm missing, but my name is Gabriel. I work for Lilia. Lilia, we're a preventive healthcare, mostly focusing on chronic disease. Our goal is mostly to use traditional approach like human coaching, but also a digital twin. We also use now agentic AI. Our goal is really to help people to their journeys of chronic disease and to prevent them to have complications. So for sure for insurance, there's a big impact because it's reduced cost when the people are healthy. And also we work with also with the hospital to also align our product with the hospital. So the idea mostly at Lydia is really to help people into their journey of chronic disease and keep them motivated, because a lot come from motivation. So AI is really a tool we're using for doing this to keep them motivated and engaged so they can help themselves. So that's mostly what we do.
Awesome. Great. So first question, actually going back to Gabriel. Obviously you're a startup. Well, I mean, a little bit more mature than a startup with a bank balance there. But you're in this early innings or early stages of development. And at the end of the day, now we're talking about AI tools, going to agentic AI. You see a lot of different products and a lot of requests from customers. How do you ensure that the AI-driven features align with the user needs without overwhelming them, with complexity, right? Because there could be tons of different products, features, all those different things inside of it, right?
I think it's all start where the understanding of the need. So a lot of companies, when they start using AI, they were sometimes very data science focused or management focused, where they try to optimize their flow. They were trying to, for example, to have a chatbot talking to the user, and for the goal to maybe reduce the real human interaction. But the problem is, for many users, they see these like just have a new step to get through the system, and it can be seen as annoying. So at Lydia, at least what we try to do, and I think is we try really to see the AI and the agent as a tool that will really give value for the user. And this means motivations, it means even personality. And this is what we try to see the brand not only as like a logo and picture, but we try to see the brand as a personality and how the agent react to the user, how he will come to the user and give notifications to them, and how he can even be funny, or how he can adapt to the tone to the user. And this is all things that then makes the user want to interact with the AI. And when you have this view of having the AI being something that the user wants to interact with, and not just a step that you have to go through like a boss in a video game that you have to go through, this adds a lot of value. And this is really the way we try to think it. And then we see the results are there because people are much more engaged, and it's much more interesting to talk to an agent than just having to go through it.
Good stuff. Shadi, you had some other things to add, I think.
Yeah. So on our side, I think it's a little bit different, because the use cases, for example, for us are more in the internal operations, for example. So we have different users of the tools that we're developing on the AI side. And I think, like what Gabriel had said, I think if it's, for example, if you look at the user flow or the experience, if you're adding steps for them to get more value, but it adds also a lot of complexity to it, you have to test and see if the customers are actually able to do that, or they have the appetite to have this extra step to get that more value, or you want to simplify things and maybe run things in the background and so on, so that you don't just add the agent that talks to them and maybe they don't want to talk to it, or they don't want this additional layer or this additional step and so on. The other thing also that we're trying to do as well internally is that we're using AI to also get a lot of customer insights from the customer interactions with the platform. And we try to, based on that, maybe start building the experience or the features or the things that we can do using AI, so that we can optimize the customer experience as well. So it should be led by the objectives, or your client, like what really drives the customer strategy or the strategies there is that what do you want to do with the business? Where do you want to go? Do you want to enhance the experience to increase conversion, for example, and then, you know, look at how the customer experience would go there.
Very good. Yeah, so I mean, there's a little bit of a prioritization in both in the users, also from the technology perspective, and also from the value creation perspective, right? Good stuff. Question to Alibek. How do you address the different concerns? Like, you know, of course, we're managing a lot of different data, consumer data, data privacy issues, and those different things, right? So how do you actually address the concerns of data privacy and security when you're using AI to really analyze user behavior, right? Because I think that's probably a part and parcel, or probably the number one thing that we're trying to break, or the problem statement that we're trying to crack, is this behavior thing, right? So.
I think any adoption of technology comes with a cost. In this case, the risk of, the leakage of data, or kind of, the ethical part of using the data. So these are the main concerns which comes with any technology adoption, including the AI. And we internally quite prepared for this. Of course, we have a strong cyber team. I believe some team members sitting here from our internal group cyber. And at the same time, from the governmental side, I think they are doing quite a thorough job on a daily basis to control that part specifically, because I believe it's a part of bigger data sovereignty or data residency strategy of Qatar specifically, and I think it also applies for the region overall. But again, as I said, this is the side effect of any adoption of technology. But the side effect of the side effect is that the limits that it brings, like to the top-notch tools that we want to use, for example, sometimes we are, and this is just the pain point that we had in our journey when we want to bring ready-made solutions in order not to reinvent the wheel, just to bring and plug and play, but we can't because of the again, as I said, that the scrutiny that we have in terms of the governance that we have from the data protection perspective. But again, it's always
a little bit of a rubric that you apply to this sort of.
Yeah, we try to find a sweet spot. It's always a trade-off. So we try to speak with internally with colleagues, how can we optimize the process in order to make things happen in terms of choosing the right tools, while we are ensuring that the data is protected, that we have the proper rules. But again, it should be always that, as I said, some sweet spot in the middle. So not to go too deep in terms of the protection, because again, as I said, always it goes with a cost. It goes with a cost. So we want to bring solutions, but again, the data sovereignty, which is part of the strategy and vision of the country, I believe it's also make kind of sense, because everyone is trying. Again, I'm figuratively imagining it as a border. So it's like a data sovereignty is like a real sovereignty of the country. So you want to open up the border, but at the same time you want to be kind of secure in terms, if figuratively explain it.
You want to allow immigration and migration.
Exactly. Right? So there's always the cost. So you want to open up, but at the same time you have to protect. So this is the sweet spot that you try to, and this is, we are in the middle. But again, at the end of the day, who pays the cost of all this is the end user. So we have to, in my opinion, think about user first, then the rest. So this is how we need to balance. Yeah.
User protection over governance,
This is what I personally believe. That because user centricity is something that I try to that's what we are trying to cultivate in our mindset. But at the same time, again, there is always the cost. So this we have to find a sweet spot on that.
Absolutely. Gabriel, you had something to add?
Yeah, I think one of the key aspects also is the ethical part of it. And when we work on our side, we're working with the healthcare data, which means our pretty sensitive information. And one very interesting things we see now with the coming of multi-agent is we see agent kind of like employees in the company. And so what happened is, for example, if you have a company, you might not give access to your marketing team information about, for example, your health, like more very sensitive, because it will not make sense for the marketing team to use that. So when we're doing multiple agent, we're starting to have the same kind of infrastructure where we have data that we might think, okay, for example, we might have an agent in our case for chronic disease that we might use to manage, for example, symptoms. So this agent, it makes sense that they access biological or information about, for example, your lab test. But if we have an agent that is mostly doing sales or mostly trying to do marketing or trying to another purpose that is not medical link, we will not give access to that agent this information. And this is a new way of thinking that we will see, I think, more and more when people are doing agentic, is what do we feed to which agent? The same way as we're dealing with an employees, we will think about which employee I give which information. So this is the kind of thinking we're doing right now, and I think is really key of how we're going to build how we're building our own infrastructure.
So it's basically like a need-to-know basis, right? I mean, it's the same thing that you apply to a person, and it would do the same.
Yeah.
But would the agent actually figure out how to get the data anyway?
But if the hacker system, that is
like,
and it also differs from companies to companies. For instance, but I believe, Gabriel, you guys have more kind of freedom to experiment, to bring, and whereas again in the corporate where you have quite a strong governance, I believe this is again we are challenged again. We have those challenges as well. It's coming. I believe these answers are coming from the pain points that we're facing on a daily basis. But I wish we have the same freedom that the startups are having, or companies, the private companies who are running things on more, let's say, I wouldn't say unlimited, but less limited environment.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've heard different stories where, like, financial institutions institutionalize an LLM, and then you go in and somebody says, "What is Michael's salary?" and it actually spits it out. So yes, so I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up that way, right? Even though you put the restrictions and the controls on it, you might end up still in the same situation. So switching gears over here to Mani. So obviously WTW, I mean, I know them actually when inside of Hong Kong. I know the folks there. You guys are covering tons and tons of international clients inside of the space of insurance, and obviously you see a lot of different unique use cases, right? So, how can how can AI tools assist in reducing time to market for new digital products? Because, you're doing all different types of trainings and commercializing different types of products for folks. What are the key tools that you see actually implemented?
Yeah, I think I've got two answers. What's possible today, I think everyone is already doing or should be doing, which is it can do things like if you want to prototype something quickly, you just get that quickly generated, not a problem. If you need marketing content, if you need, I don't know, logos and pictures designed, it can all help you with that design aspect and being a bit of an assistant for you, as everyone's kind of using it already. But I have this weird idea, which is probably not even that weird. I think it's very possible and probably quite close, which is one day I can imagine you have an idea or you have a feature that you need added, and you just think it and it happens. It just gets added to the product.
Stream of thought kind of thing. It's like,
you can imagine like you open your phone and there's no apps and you just think, oh, I really need to do this thing, and it just magically does it for you. Like one day in the future, maybe. And I think how we get there is by having these conversations and thinking about where we are now is nowhere near there. How do we get there is probably having a middle ground where there's a human in the loop between the design process and then the testing and so on. But I think there's also, in terms of feature development, there's also AI can help with the decision making to make just the user experience better. But I think one thing I just wanted to add in was a random story. But we need to be careful of just being naive and applying it naively. So we were working with some claims data, and we just wanted to see, it was motor claims. We just wanted to see what were the common accident types happening. And what we did was we were using Arabic text. We ran the LLM, and then we translated it to English, because I'm learning Arabic, but I'm not there yet. But some of the most common phrases were king and penguin. And I was like, that doesn't really make sense. This idea of a king hitting penguins causing a lot of motor claims didn't really make sense. But
it sounds. I mean, I don't know Arabic, but I mean, it sounds pretty similar, right? Penguin and
so penguin and road are exactly two similar. If anyone speaks Arabic, you probably know where I'm going with this.
So it's kind of like asking the LLM, like, how many R's are in strawberry, kind of thing, right? If you've heard this one before.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just about being careful of being naive, and I'm sure everybody is, but just being careful of those naive applications. But that's how do you give it the oversight that it needs to then allow it to do, help you reduce time to market, basically.
Alibek, what sort of AI tools do you suggest to actually reducing the time to market for product development?
I don't think that I have enough time to give you the whole list of the tools that we are using, but the main point is I believe the time to market, quick and rapid experimentation. That's the main thing that we try to foster in our organization when we develop features. For us, if you look entire value chain from the market research all the way to the claims or marketing part, each and every stage has a bunch of tools. And I believe the good thing is that when you have a strong team, they will bring the tools. So and there are obvious tools like on marketing side for generating content, for instance. Recently, Jasper in marketing is one of the things that we are now trying to adopt and see how it would help to accelerate our marketing capabilities. One of the interesting part for me personally, I'm not a tech guy, but I know, for instance, in tech, there are a lot of tools that can help improve the time to market of developers, like Copilots in GitHub, for instance. And recently, by the way, one thing that I felt that we did a small questionnaire on our chat on Slack, asking teams what you guys are using, like on a daily basis. We get a bunch of answers from all the departments. The only department that we didn't get much answers was tech department, like in developers.
Why is that?
And we were thinking that most of the developers, they are already using some tools, but they are maybe shy to say that they are using some tools. So, which is why, to address this, one of the things that we made a decision was with a management team to have workshops with developers and explain them it's fine to use AI tools to improve because I believe they try to, in a way, I wouldn't say try to hide, but at the same time they try to, in a way, because this is something that I believe the part of the awareness that tools in AI can improve our capability of delivering features in a fast manner first. Secondly, how can improve the efficiency and capacity of each developer that we have. And this transition and paradigm shift is happening now in each stage. And again, developers that's the one area I believe that we need to have open conversations on using AI tools, because this eventually will help us with less real spend to bring more features, more products to the market. So again, addressing to the question, we use a lot across the board. Some tools we use, but we don't know, because some specialists, I believe it's like asking anyone can you raise a hand who is using ChatGPT on a daily basis? Yeah, here you go. So we use it for different types of scenarios, be it your personal tasks at work. Here you go, ChatGPT. The same thing is happening with each and every unit in our department. So yeah.
So the devs actually they're free to run and use different tools. Doesn't matter if it's Cursor or Lovable or any of these type of dev tools. That's basically the modus operandi, right?
Yeah.
There's no regulatory compliance per se saying, hey, don't be using this particular tool at this point.
I think the main thing is we have to share, even internally in a team. For example, once a month we have something called knowledge sharing. We can bring one unit who can share all the tools that they are using, which is, I mean, the guy who's sitting in the marketing, he's living in his own universe. The guy who is developing the software on a daily basis, he's living in his own universe. So the point is, how can we, be open, even internally? So, and then also to foster this transparency inside of the team saying using AI is normal, because again, there is also that fear, okay, if agentic AI is happening, is it going to replace me in the future? That kind of conversations happening. So that's why, again, I believe we need to just showcase the opportunity how AI can open up the potential scale that we can go, rather than being afraid of AI. But how can we be friends with AI and then augment and complement and multiply our kind of capabilities? So this is one thing that I think we need to foster inside of the team. This is what we are doing.
Good stuff.
Internally.
Good stuff. Obviously, when we talk about different startups, ultimately you encounter different types of failure, different types of setbacks. You're constantly pivoting. So the question is actually to Shadi. Can you discuss a specific instance where AI integration failed in a product development project, and what were the lessons you actually learned inside of it?
So I think what I can talk about very comfortably is now the problem I think in a lot of organizations is that a lot of people cannot really, or a lot of different teams, because usually the features are cross-functional, so a lot of different teams cannot really imagine what would the outcome be like when you're developing something using AI, or you're releasing like a feature or part of the product, because this is still very new to a lot of people. The capabilities and so on are not very clear. So you're trying to, work through the product development cycle in a way that you make it more clear to each and every team. I think we failed with that at a point in time where product teams were trying to work with different cross-functional teams and trying to optimize or maybe getting a lot of requirements feedback and having a lot of conversations with different teams. And this actually made us take maybe months in one case to release one feature. And after that, we actually discovered that maybe not all teams were aligned on how the outcome would look like, because of the nature of it, that a lot of people or a lot of teams are not 100% sure of how the outcome would look like, or the output, the end output of a certain feature would look like, and how would they benefit from it from their perspective and so on. So I think the lesson learned there is that if you're working on a feature or be it an agent or something else, I think MVPing is very important. The very usual cycle that you have in a product development, because it allows you to see the outcome early on and maybe change the direction when you're developing this feature based on the outcome of that MVP and talking to different stakeholders internally and so on. And maybe if you're releasing this to customers, you can test it on a certain number of customers and so on, and then get feedback cycle very early and very and reiterate on it maybe more frequent than the usual features or the conventional, like the rest of the features that are not maybe that complicated and that you're more comfortable with in terms of the development cycle. So I think that part is very important, and this is what we're trying to do right now, is that make it faster and faster cycle, and not take a long time trying to perfect the feature or the model the thing that we're working on and so on.
Time to market. Mani, you had something to add inside of that?
I was just going to tell another random story. So we were working with a client on healthcare data, and we just wanted to predict if they've had a claim recently, is that likely to lead on to other claims? So we built this and we handed it over to the data science team at the client side, and they were like, "Oh, we're just going to test it on some newer data, see what happens, see how accurate it is." I was like, "That's a very good idea. You should do that." So they did that, and they came back to me. It's not very accurate at all. I was like, "Tell me what you did. What happened?" And they said, "Oh, we used last week's claims, and then we wanted to see if any more claims had come." I said, "There's not enough time there. You got to wait for those claims to come in and develop before you can even test." And I think what that made me realize is data scientists and people who are using these tools that don't have a good understanding of insurance processes or how insurance works can maybe naively try and apply data science or AI. It doesn't work, and then they just give up on that use case and move on to the next one. So I think that's a different type of failure, if you like, but it's that sort of naivety of insurance, or it can go both ways. It can also be a naivety of data science and AI, and insurance very well, but you don't know how to apply the techniques to get what you need. So yeah.
It's tough. So last question actually to the panel. We take a look inside of the crystal ball. What future trends do you foresee in AI that could further transform digital product development? So we'll start off with Gabriel all the way at the end.
Well, depending where we want to look at the ball, but for sure, first not what's happening right now. I don't know if you look, if you try to keep updated, but there's new model coming almost every day. There's a new tools coming almost every day also. So the tools you're using now might not be the best tool in 3 weeks. Not even in 3 months, or 3 years, in 3 weeks. So when dealing with this very fast changing, I think one key things I always tell people is try to stick to things that are more generic, that you can easily adapt based on the technology. So where it's coming on the future, for sure, a lot of people will talk about AGI that is coming, where data will be less and less important, strangely. Because now we use a lot of data to train model, but on the near future, the AI by itself will be smart enough that you don't need that much of your data to be able to take a decision, because it will be trained by kind of the whole world data. And this is going to be a shift on how we see AI and how we use them. But again, we need company. We need to stick to what we know. We need to understand what is the knowledge in their company that we can make the value and that we can transfer to the AI. And AI are getting very good at understanding unstructured thing, which means this knowledge. So I really feel that the future is going to be a lot about this transition, and it's going to be ruthless. Like some company will have to adapt very, very hardly. Some new company we don't even know will come very quickly. So, but to be ready, understand your value and stick to it.
Right. So yeah, I mean the latest thing is absolute zero. If you've heard about that, Alibek.
If I speak from the insurance perspective, in my opinion, high personalization, which is in a way not something that's coming, but this is already happening. But I believe it will go to in my opinion, to that granular level where each and every person would have an agent who would suggest right price, right product, with the right language, with the right message in the right time. So we refer to it as a digital integrity. So I think AI will help to achieve this even faster. In our consumer business, we have one channel called agency channel. This is traditional channel, the brokers, partners. And I believe this agentic AI, which is in a way fits very perfectly to this channel. But this is perfect channel, which is very cost efficient in terms of you don't need to pay commission, right? You just implement it and it goes. So I believe that high personalization with the help of agentic AI will go to the level of super granular level, so that each and every person will get what they want to get.
Right. Yeah. Ultra personalized. Shadi?
I can't add a lot to what have been said, but I think in our context, at least, and not very far away, because you can't really, I think, see as far. But I think in our case, as a digital broker, I think focusing on the distribution part, I think becoming integrating a lot of agentic AI in the things that we do, because I think what we do is basically we optimize a lot of processes and we build technology to digitize those processes. And this having AI, or now AI makes this more possible to do. So I think, as they say, like the full stack AI, not just the technology, but how implementing this technology in how can we grow the business and so on, how can we scale the operations, how can we scale the distribution and so on. I think this becomes more possible now in ways that were not maybe possible 1 year ago or 2 years ago. I think a lot of businesses, consumer businesses or businesses that are concerned with distribution will go towards that in the next maybe year or two. This will be the full focus.
Monty?
Yeah. I remember a while ago, there was a guy who, this was before Gen AI anything, he managed to automate his entire job and didn't tell anyone that he'd done this.
And where'd he go, like Phuket or something?
No, he didn't. He did a few things. First of all, he made sure it intentionally added errors every now and then, right? So that no one could find out that it was perfectly automated. And then, yeah, he just didn't do any work for 2 years. The reason I bring that up is I think we could, with Gen AI or with AI in general, eventually we will get to a place where a lot of the work that we do today gets done for us and we're just reviewing and things like that. But then it becomes a question of what do we do with the time that we found? Are we pushing things further, or are we scrolling TikTok and Instagram and killing our brains that way? So I think crystal ball wise, I don't know. Are we going to use? I think a lot of things will get a lot better, but it's up to us as a people to continue pushing things forwards, maybe.
So yeah, I mean, he's probably going to have like a little virtual screen on the Zoom calls, right? So, yeah. So on that note, that's the last question. Thank you so much. Fantastic panel, great insights. Let's have a round of applause for this team. Thank you. Put all our hands in the let's do a fun one. I'm from Hong Kong. Okay, yeah. All right. Thanks, Marcus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Gabriel. He joined us. Sorry, we missed you on the screen further, but thank you so much for joining us. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you.
We didn't get to meet, but I heard you listen. But you're always busy running around, so I didn't want to take a lot of your time.
Yeah. So now for our next panel, AI driven by design, how modern tech stacks enable agile, personalized products. I would like to invite our speakers, Mr. Ismail Mafrah, CIO, State Trading Organization, and Mr. Shailesh Duri, CEO of Decimal Point Analytics, Mr. Karthik Rimakrishan, founder of Armila AI, and Mr. Carlos Albo, Chief Executive Officer of We Analyze. It will be moderated by Amr Musa, Senior Software Architect from Manai Corporation QPSC. Please proceed to the stage.
So guys, I think she's going to announce in the other hall that if people can come, because I think they thought it's break right now. So give us like 2 minutes.
like a rehearsal. Yeah. Just the cameraman is here.
It's just been chaos in the last 48 hours. Yeah. Thank you. What's the product? So we're in InsurTech. So we are an MJ. So we launched the first AI insurance policy. AI insurance policy. Cover the risk of AI. Cover the risk of AI. And what about anyway? What are the variables to to get the price? We look at maybe I do from Gen AI. Not spectrum, we look at performance. Quite a involved North America, but we are not okay. Harmonized in Toronto.
The elite area, the rich people there.
Very. That's more private.
No, like Ogden is a good place though. Ogden is a very good place. I used to go there. There was like a torch that we used to go and hunt there, like fishing basically, a belly. And we have a very nice ice cream shop on that street.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the lakeshore, actually. It's one of the best. Yeah. That the Shamlu story?
Yes, I think.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I think I'm gonna start. I'm gonna introduce myself. My name is Amr Musa. Whoever speaks Arabic know that how dangerous that name is. So it's not me. I'm just Amr Musa. I'm working in Manai as a senior architect. I'm responsible for all the AI and fintech solution inside Qatar and also outside Qatar. Over to you, Ismail.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity as well. My name is Ismail Mifra. I'm representing State Trading Organization. We are the largest trading organization in the Maldives. We are in different business sectors, including healthcare, construction, raw materials, trading. We also have a subsidiary, which is Allied Insurance, and I'm a non-executive director at the Allied Insurance, which is also the largest insurance provider in the country.
Hello, my name is Shailesh Thuri. I am a CEO and co-founder of Decimal Point Analytics. We are a global analytics, research, and data management company with operations in nearly all continents.
Hi, I'm Karthik Ramakrishnan. I'm the CEO and founder of Armilla AI. We are a InsurTech MGA focused on underwriting the risks of AI systems. So we insure AI, essentially. We just launched our liability product a couple of weeks ago. We're based in North America. We cover essentially aspects or companies based out of North America.
Hi, I'm Carlos Salvo. I'm CEO of Winalize. Basically, we are a AI data company. So we supplied data for two main industries like insurance and banks. We are based in Spain, but we are delivering services right now to the whole Europe, and then Latin America, North America, and other countries from there.
Perfect. So again, this conversation is going to be interactive, so I don't want only me to ask. So at any time, if any one of you want to ask the panel, please raise your hand and I'm going to switch the mic to you. However, I'm going to talk about our experience here in Qatar. So working with a lot of governmental institutes and non-governmental also areas that we found still the data residency and also how you would protect your data from using whatever AI solution that you're going to provide to our customer is one of our main pain here. So I want to ask you, Ismail, how would you deal with these situations either in your country or also the worldwide too?
And specifically in the Maldives, we are quite behind in terms of regulations, in terms of cloud security and whether data sovereignty and those topics. But I'm happy to say the government is putting an effort into that. But if you consider globally, and I heard this mentioned in a previous panel as well, the alignment is the key here. Wherever the solution is being provided, you need to follow the regulatory aspect of that particular country. And I believe you also mentioned that in Qatar, it's quite specific that the data is kept here, and that's I think what every service provider needs to follow when it comes to that.
Yeah, so we have by nature working with multiple countries and regulations. So we are well experienced, and so one is that we require to ensure that for most countries the data stays within the national boundaries. Some countries don't enforce that, and also then there are requirements about privacy of the data.
Yeah.
And especially for AI models, for training, it sometimes become a problem because
You're
have
feeding
to
the model with that data.
anonymize that data
Exactly.
and create mock data to train the models, because we can't directly use the personal data for training the models. Then the other aspect comes into especially while running the models. Sometimes the models see too much of data, sometimes the model sees too little of data, because most of the data governance practices have been set up for pre-AI era.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly. And Kartik, over to you. I think in North America or Canada, it's a little bit easier than the Middle East. I would believe that you can move your data to the cloud and you can even train one of your models, like I faced that personally. So when you work with customers outside of North America, how would you actually prevent all of these issues?
Sorry, I have a bit of a cold, but
should we put a mask here?
Maybe. Apologies. But we don't work as much in the Middle East right now, but certainly in North America and Europe, UK, Europe, and GDPR is a big concern, right? In the European area. So there's two things, and I'll take it from an AI context. We are actually seeing AI being applied on data in order to de-anonymize information. So there are companies that can remove PII, redact PII information from documents using an AI system, so that when you feed it into the training system or a training of a model, it's much, there's some security inbuilt into that. The second thing we're seeing is the thing with AI is if you want it to be really effective, and I think you said it just perfectly, which is most of the systems have been built for the legacy or the pre-AI era. In the AI era, we need these systems to be much more agile, right? It's not about past data; it's the real-time data, that the model needs to continuously have access to, especially have agents coming in. Two, you want to have you want them to be able to action that as well, right? So there's new data that's being generated by these models, and there's like a feedback loop, right? It takes an action, there's more data, and then continuous approach. So how do you deal with that environment? And I think that's a bit tricky. And the third thing I would say is, when you come to things like generative AI,
yes,
the risk is if it's been trained on PII information, or somehow it got in, that model may end up revealing that information.
Exactly.
Right? And that's a big concern. We've already seen instances of this. So having the right RAG systems, again, the architecture and modularity of the AI systems you build to catch this is also extremely key. I mean, these are the three things that we're seeing that a lot of movement
Exactly,
on.
and that will add only the layer, which is the AI governance, which is everyone needs to be aware of. Because I know a lot of people are trying to, let's say, start with any AI solutions. They forgot that there's something called the AI governance, which is you cannot publish any, let's say, a chatbot or something inside the organization without having that AI governance area. So over to you, Carlos. I know, for example, in Spain, again, the leverage of using the cloud, you have a little bit of easiness there. However, I'm sure you faced such use cases in your area. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you were talking before, data is so much important, and we have to balance the compliance using the data. And then sometimes the problem that we face with insurance companies and other financial companies is that they want to use the data that they already have for the new models, so to build AI models, and they are taking the risk because this data, as you commented before, is not the most updated one, so it's not real-time data. So at the end, we are finding that we have some bias. So again, for us or for me, data and AI is so important. Regarding cloud, I think it's the only way, or for me, it's the most appropriate way, because even in cloud, you can be compliant with all the regulation.
Exactly.
Absolutely. In our case, we only work in cloud. The only thing that we have to do is sometimes go to the cloud that the client is already used to use.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to mention any provider, but provider A or B or C, or if we are deploying in some particular countries like that they need even the data is not personal data, we need to deploy there like Brazil or Turkey. So, well, there is no problem. Having a cloud from whoever provider, we can deploy through containers. So it's so easy.
Which is coming to the next question is like when you move even to the cloud, let's say I have my own application on the cloud, but the model itself, I'm just using it as an inference, or I'm actually doing training for the model. So, or maybe I'm building the whole model, right? Like from scratch even. So, and this is totally, like I see a lot of organizations think, yes, I can have, or I can build my own model, but to do that, you need like Bahrain electricity to build one model. So it's not as easy as everyone think to have such a model like Llama or something like that. So people need to think about how or when should I use the model and what kind of model we are using for such a use case. So let's talk, for example, about fintech, Ismail. So when you're dealing with financial institutions or even InsurTech institutions, so what kind of model that you will be able to convince your customer, yes, that's the model that you can use. And because that also will be depending on the infrastructure, and even there is a lot of tokens happening there. So can you tell us more about that experience though?
I think rightly you mentioned that point. When we talk about developing our own model, first we need to see the amount of volume as well that we get. Like, for example, we are working with, by the government, we are mandated to provide services for all the islands in the country. And we have over 193 islands where we get the data from. We provide health insurance services to that. So this is the amount of data that we get. But when you consider the country size with less than 500,000 less population, the data is actually not enough to create a proper model as such. So it needs to be, I mean, when we do the training of data, we do try to get outside data as well, create data as well to train our model. But when it comes to the actual data, it's not sufficient at the moment. So when we try to go to our customers, we are, first of all, we are very transparent about it. we tell that, okay, this is with the existing data and to the level that we have trained our model. So transparency helps when we reach out to customers. And I think whenever we try to deal with the customers, that should be a key priority.
That's actually a very good point, because we face this issue a lot here in Qatar too, that, okay, now you're going to get my data and you're going to fine tune, I'm just going to say it's fine tuning my model. How would I guarantee that me as a vendor who is going to implement that solution at the customer is not going to use that model later on and feed other software? So Shailesh, what do you think about, like, how would you actually give that guarantee to your customers that you can even test that model, or like there might be somehow a solution about that?
Yeah, so this is a question which can be answered by the protocols that are there, like ISO 27000 to SOC 2 and other kind of protocols, where the information that the customer shares with the vendor to build a particular model stays within the confines of the cloud or the server that the customer has, and we go and train the model there. And the training happens within the, so data does not leave customer premises. It stays in customer.
But it's still in the model, right? Like if you even fine tune.
They are fine tune them. So in most cases, the fine tune model stays within the confines, RAG itself on the server. So I can give an example of, let us say, a road company in India where we are trying to predict the traffic on the road to predict the income. So they would have certain patterns of data. Now they don't want that pattern of data to be available to other road companies. So it is very important. So then the data is very well containerized and stays within
governance.
Yeah.
And how about you, Karthik? I think you might face these challenges, especially with the new elections that happened in Canada last year.
Yeah. Well, well, actually, this is we've been talking about this since 2016. So there was a company, Element AI, where I worked. It was started by Dr. Yoshua Benji, who was one of the godfathers of AI. And this is always the question since day one. And our response was, actually, once you train a model, the raw data is not in the model.
Yeah.
Right? It's just the learnings.
Exactly.
Right? And these hyperparameters that exist, I don't think there's any IP there as such.
Yes.
So it is possible that you could use that same model elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the generative AI context, there's a problem, right? Where if it starts,
generating new text,
but copyrighted information can be used, and so that's a different story.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at, let's say, a predictive model on not generative AI, but price prediction model, it's looked at the patterns of the data. The data is no longer useful. It's only the hyperparameters and its learnings. And so there is a question mark of whether that model, when it's used in another client's context, is there actually leakage of your data? It isn't.
Yes.
Technically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a debate that's ongoing. But yeah, I mean, all the things that have been said, even OpenAI, you have your own environments where you can bring your data in. It's sequestered. You have companies like Cohere that build their own. They're more enterprise focused, so they bring the models into the clients and they deploy it. So we're seeing variations of these, right?
Right.
But again, when these learnings go back into their model, is it really your information?
Yes.
The data is not, the raw data is not there.
Exactly. And I think over to you, Carlos, about talking about that model. So not all the times we need to have a large language model. I guess that depends on the use case, of course. And I think we need to, especially in the Middle East, that we're trying to be mature enough on what kind of model we should use. However, I start seeing some of my customers telling me, Amr, listen, I think we are over-engineering our AI use case here. So with using a large language model like Llama, which is run, I don't know how many thousand tokens per second, which is so heavy on the infrastructure, Again, because we are not allowed to go to the cloud right now in some government institutes. So how would you actually go to, or actually convince your customer to leverage the small language model, or let's say a specific language model to, in for example, any use case in Realize?
Well, in our case, first of all, the models are ours. So normally our clients, because maybe I should explain something. I mean, to evaluate models, first we analyze the market and what are the use cases that our clients are more common. So this is the first step. So we have like a 2 dimensions to evaluate models. First, technical one regarding performance, and second regarding business. So obviously the model is ours, and then we have this fine tuning depending on the client. But normally the use cases are standard. For example, regarding banks, use cases, normally when we process transactions, the normal use cases is fraud, is payment refusals, is cross-selling, or is user experience. So obviously, depending on those models, or sorry, those use cases, we use one or others models. Right now, never happened that a bank or something asked to us, okay, can you include in this model this kind of a small piece of other models? So
No, that actually makes sense. Yeah. So I just want to move to my last question, and I think I'm going to ask the audience if they have any question too. So talking about AI on-prem is actually, I experience here a lot in Qatar and also in some areas in the Middle East. Why? Again, because of the data residency, I think. And it is always so hard to maintain agentic AI on-prem to run a model with multiple use cases, or let's say multiple agents that need to run. I think you need not less than 10 H100 NVIDIA cards. And I have seen that people can say, oh, I can get 5 H100 NVIDIA cards and I can use whatever I can do. That's actually not true. And I see that as a challenge because the maturity of our customers is they are thinking, yes, since, I don't know, all the companies inside the whole world, right? They can leverage that kind of agentic AI, so we can do it. We can do that here. But it's really so hard and it's very complicated to have agentic AI that needs a lot of software requirements, infrastructure requirements on-prem, and basically to maintain all of that tools there. So I want to ask you, Ismail, I'm not sure if you face such a scenario here that, yes, my software, or let's say my services can do that. However, I will need all of these requirements. And the customer is always very surprised, like, why? Why do you need all of that? Like, why you didn't mention that from the beginning? Because you need it on-prem. So tell me about your experience in that part, though.
Specifically, we don't have that issue because, like I said, on the regulation side, we are quite flexible, so there's no specific requirement to be on-prem as such. But I do understand that situation. I don't know. I'll leave it to some of other panel members to address if they have.
Maybe Shailesh too. Yes.
Yes. There are certain organizations who are by law required to run the models on-prem, and some of those organizations are not even allowed to connect to internet.
Exactly.
There we have to take different approach in model building, model retraining, because inference is totally, the architecture is totally different.
Exactly.
So we have done such work for some of the organizations where these requirements are there. While most commercial organizations across the world, they are willing to connect to a cloud infrastructure. And the organizations which have these requirements, in our experience, are open to spend the kind of money that is required for running the inference or the training on their premises to ensure that their data and their use case does not is not exposed to even to internet.
Right.
So in that case, the inference might happen at a token speed would be very low, but they understand that they accept that as a cost of data security.
Perfect. How about you, Karthik?
We've dealt with this. Again, North America, we don't have that issue, but in the past we did. I mean, but if you work with a bank, right?
Yes, exactly. CIBC.
Or TD, right? They have a lot of stuff on-prem,
Yes.
right? So the first thing is, and back 8 years ago, even if they were on the cloud, they had their own version of the cloud. So it wasn't really a cloud environment. It was hosted on Azure, but it's their own Azure instance almost. So in those situations, if you're going to do AI, you have to build that tech stack internally that you can't just rely on the vendor. What is your tech stack going to be, knowing that AI is going to require X, Y, and Z components, right? Two, for AI, I mean, and I'm going to deviate a little bit on this. The composable microservices is what you need, right? You need to have a very modular tech stack. It's going to look very different. So if the plan is to have your own in-house infrastructure, and if you want to get into AI, then you have to know yourself what needs to get done, so that you can bring in the vendors or whoever are coming in. So I think that's one thing you have to set the strategy on. And the other piece I would say is agentic AI doesn't necessarily mean it has to go to the internet, right? It's basically about two different AI systems talking to each other, or multiple AI systems executing on different parts of a workflow and communicating with each other to execute on the end-to-end process. So again, it's not necessarily talking about the internet. So it's okay not to have access to the internet, but as long as, again, you have to have that composable microservices, so each of them can talk to each other. The data is available on the fly, right? What we talked about at the very beginning. So that is what I think most companies are struggling with, because you've just finished a digital transformation. You've now got a bunch, and it's already legacy, and you have to re-architect the entire environment to enable AI now. So I think that's the challenge more than anything else. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I agree with this. So earlier the tech stacks were imagined as layers of cakes, one sitting on top of another. And now in the composable world and agentic AI world, I think of the tech stack as the Indian biryani.
Yeah.
So everything is meshed up.
Yes.
And everything is either up or down. We do not know what we'll find where. And to reimagine that for tech leaders is taking a lot of time.
Right.
And especially in cloud it is easier to do.
Yes,
but
of course.
on-prem to doing that itself becomes a project.
It is not easy.
Yeah.
Yes. So how about you, Carlos?
Yeah, I want to add something. I mean, fortunately, we are not facing these kind of things, because normally we try to convince the client that doing on premises is going to be, let's say, well, against the business. And there is only one word: it's legacy. Exactly. Because if you are coming to us saying that I want real time, I want performance, that is based on, we have been commenting before, microservices. So it's totally the opposite that you are going to get if you are doing on premises. At least it's based on our experience. So maybe at the beginning of the conversation, they try to not convince, but introduce on premises. But at the end, they are fully convinced normally regarding the cloud, because again, the cloud, until now we didn't have any problem. I mean, regarding, for example, compliance or whatever, because you can have it public, you can have it a hybrid, you can have it public, a hybrid, private, whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end, cloud is in some way on premises of someone. So, but in much modern environment without this kind of legacy.
Which is, of course, depend on the customer maturity at the end, of course. So That's all.
I mean, the important thing is that we try to balance very well, as I said before, the technical thing with the business thing. So at the end, bank or insurance company is looking for an ROI.
Of course.
So, okay, I can deploy this, but if we are going to deploy it on the premises, your results are going to be much worse. So just choose. That's it.
So I know we are out of time, but I'm going to give 1 minute for the audience. If anyone has a question, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we are done here. Anyone have a question? All good? Okay. I hope that was good for you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone who have attended. That will be for today. The last panel will be featured on the main stage, so we'll be all there. That concludes what we had today for the innovation stage. Thank you for joining us.